This handsome man in the portrait here is known as Sir Frederick William Herschel. You may know him as the famous discoverer of the seventh planet from the Sun, Uranus, in 1781. Herschel was, in fact, an amateur astronomer, but his achievements in the astronomy fields are beyond astounding. Before immersing in astronomy, Herschel was an amazing musician, though not renowned in his era. Born in Hanover, Germany on November 15, 1738, he was named as Friedrich Wilhelm Herschel. Following his father, who was a military musician for the band of Hanoverian Guards Regiment, at 14 years old, he and his brother Jacob joined the regiment and played as oboist. When he was 19 years old, in 1757, during the 7 Years' War, his father sent both him and his brother to England to find safety after the regiment lost the Battle of Hastenbeck in Hanover. In England, he went by Frederick William Herschel, that is the anglicized version of his name, and being penniless at the time, became a music hobbyist in London. After 2 years spent there, his brother went back home to Hanover while he stayed in England, specifically in North Yorkshire, where he became head of the Durham Militia Band. To further his career as a professional musician, Herschel moved to Bath in 1766, where he composed music and became, at the same time, a conductor and an organist at the Octagon Chapel, a Christian worship house that was newly built at the time. Herschel's sister, Caroline, who was 12 years younger, wasn't happy in their home in Hanover because of their mother. So, in 1772, Herschel invited her to live with him in Bath and trained her as a singer while being his housekeeper. As strange as it seems, music has made Herschel begin to be interested in mathematics. From practicing to studying about the theory of music, he studied the book Harmonics written by Robert Smith, which led him to read Smith's A Complete System of Optics. He had always been fascinated by the sky and eventually developed an interest in astronomy. He then rented a small Gregorian telescope to survey the sky, but was not satisfied with its performance. Because of this, he started to create his own mirrors and polish them. At this time, he still stayed by his profession as a musician, but he's becoming more focused on astronomy that, according to Caroline, every room turned into a workshop, and he was so busy with polishing the mirrors that they had no rest. Herschel was assigned as the director of the Bath Orchestra in 1780, where his sister often performed as soprano soloist with his conduct. Until 13 March 1781, Herschel observed a small body with slow movement in the sky, which he thought was a comet. This is when he discovered Uranus. He named it Georgium Cetus, Latin for George's star, in honor of the English monarch King George III. This discovery, he wrote on his paper, led him to be accepted into the Royal Society in December that year. Eventually, in 1782, he was knighted as the King's Astronomer when he met the English monarch in London, and became court astronomer with the condition that he came to live near Windsor. This meant that he could focus entirely on astronomy. Herschel ended his musical career with his last performance on 19 May 1782 in Bath. It was clear that his interest in astronomy was much bigger than music when he was in his 30s, proven by how he accepted the king's salary of €200 per year, which was half of his earning as a musician. Both he and Caroline moved out of Bath to Datchet in August that year. They moved houses again in 1786 for the last time to Slough, near Windsor. The residence was then called the Observatory House. Here, they proceeded to discover 2 moons of Uranus a year after they moved in. Remember how Herschel intended on creating his own mirrors and better telescopes? He had a project where he would create a 12 meters telescope. He finished its construction in 1789. This was his most famous telescope and the largest one in the world in his day. Its name was the Great Telescope. With it, he managed to discover Saturn's sixth and seventh moons. When Herschel joined the Royal Society, he had his hands on the copy of Matthias' catalogue of nebulae and star clusters, which made him start examining the fuzzy objects in the sky. For more than 20 years, he observed and compiled 2,500 new nebulae and star clusters in the General Catalogue of Nebula, which was renamed as what we now know the New General Catalogue (NGC). By the time he was nearing 60, Herschel became interested in the sun and the solar spectrum. This led to the discovery of infrared radiation in 1800, one that others consider as his greatest achievement rather than Uranus. Herschel did marry at age 50 with the rich widow Mary Pitt. They had a son named John who followed in Herschel's footsteps studying astronomy. In 1822, Herschel died at his home on 25th August at age 83. His legacy and work was continued by his diligent sister Caroline and son John. Herschel was indeed one of the many great astronomers who made important discoveries that benefit the future of science in our time. However, he also made wonderful symphonies in his early years. In fact, the music playing in the background of the whole video is one of his 6 symphonies played by the London Mozart players.